Hey everybody, welcome to Drive-Thru Review 415. Today we're going to talk about Exploding Kittens. And this is a card game for people who are into kittens and explosions and boob wizards and sometimes butts. It is also the #1, according to the back of the box, most backed Kickstarter project ever, and the #1 most funded game in Kickstarter history. Of note to myself, and probably many of you, it's also illustrated by the Oatmeal, or Matthew Inman of the Oatmeal, I should say. And it's a very much a light sort of take that sort of thing. Well, it's a card game, and I've heard it compared to Uno, and I guess, but it doesn't remind me of Uno at all. So let's jump into how the game plays. This is the Not Safe for Work edition. I'm not going to show you anything that I think is not safe for work, so don't worry about that. But we're going to talk about the gameplay, and then I'll tell you what I think of it. Now, as I said, this is the NSFW version. There is a clean version that you can go and get if this is not to your tastes. Please note that this edition is for ages 30 and up, so if you're under the age of 30, then this is not for you. And here you can see everything that you get in the box. The rules are very, very simple. It's just this sort of fold out. It's a two-sided fold out, and that's all the rules that you need to know in the game. There are some special abilities and things on the different cards and different combos you can do, but nothing too strenuous. Now here you can see all the cards that you get in the game. You've got a deck of cards that you'll be playing from. Most importantly, you'll have some Exploding Kitten cards and some Diffuse cards. Now, depending on the number of players, you're going to take and shuffle in a number of Exploding Kitten cards into the deck. And then you'll take and give each player one Diffuse card. And then again, depending on the number of players, shuffle a certain amount of Diffuse cards into the deck. Shuffle up the deck and then deal each player 4 cards in addition to the Diffuse card. So everybody will have a hand of 5 cards. You randomly determine a start player, and then you go from there. Now, the object of the game is to not draw any of the Exploding Kitten cards that are shuffled into the deck. If you do draw one of these Exploding Kitten cards, then you do have the opportunity to diffuse them, but let me talk about how a turn will work. Now, on your turn, you have 2 things you can do. You can play some cards, and then you have to draw a card. So you don't have to play any cards. You can play 1 or more cards, and you can do whatever it says, and sometimes there'll be special abilities, like here, the Asparagus Bum Dragon appears, and this allows you to shuffle the draw pile. Or you might play this card, the Favor, and this allows you to donate your body to cat science. When you play this, you can choose a player, and they must give you a card of their choice. So you can play any number of cards, even 0, and then you must draw a card off the top of the deck. And then you'll take and add that card to your hand and hope that it is not, again, one of these Exploding Kitten cards. Now, if you do draw an Exploding Kitten card, which you inevitably will do, then you may play a Diffuse card from your hand. And remember, you start with 1 in your hand. When you do that, you'll discard the Diffuse card, and then you'll take the Exploding Kitten card, and you also will take the deck, and then place the Exploding Kitten card face down somewhere in the deck. You'll know where you put it, but you do this in such a way that the other players don't see, and you could just put it right on top of the deck if you felt like it. And play will work like this. You play cards, draw a card. This will keep going around until somebody draws an Exploding Kitten card and doesn't have a Diffuse card. At which point then they will be eliminated from the game. And then you keep playing until there's only 1 player left, and they're the winner. Now, one last thing to note here is you can see some icons in the upper left-hand side of the card. And specifically, we can look at this example here of the 2 Zombie Cat cards. They have matching icons. Now, you can play a pair of matching cards, ignoring whatever special ability the card might give you. And if you play a pair, you get to target a player and randomly steal a card from their hand and put it into your hand. Now, if you play 3 of a kind, let's say we had 3 Zombie Cats, then you can declare and name the card that you wish to be given to you. So you could say Diffuse, and they would have to give you a Diffuse card if they have it. Finally, the last kind of combo you can play with these icons is if you play 5 different, then you can dig through the discard pile, grab the card that you want, and then stick that into your hand. And before I get to the review, I just want to make mention of one type of card here. This is the Nope card. And this is the only kind of card that you can play when it's not your turn. So if somebody does something like they allow themselves to skip their turn, or they play an attack card on you, or they play a pair, you can play a Nope card to sort of cancel that. Now, Nopes can be canceled by other Nopes, and it becomes a Yup. Otherwise, all the cards are played on your turn. Okay, so that is Exploding Kittens, and yes, this game is actually fun. When the Kickstarter came out, I was like, this looks stupid, because it looks like you draw a card and play a card, and I was like, this is dumb. It's like, why would you make a game like this and just slap some awesome oatmeal art on there and not really spend any time in the design? And they did spend time on the design. So I got to eat a little bit of crow in that way. And my favorite part of the game is when you do get an Exploding Kitten card, you diffuse it, and then you get to put it in to the deck. And do you put it right on top of the deck? Do you stick it way down at the bottom of the deck? you know, that's just kind of interesting, and it's fun. It's a funny mechanic. Now the other thing that's cool is getting those sort of combos and things, you know, the pairs, the 3 of a kind, and, you know, calling diffuse on somebody. You know they have a diffuse because they haven't drawn a kitten, and so you can try to draw up and get that. And, you know, it's like, when do I play my note? But if somebody does an attack card, which allows them to skip their turn and skip the draw on their turn, and then the next player has to take 2 turns. So do I play my nope there, or do I feel okay, I've still got my diffuse card? So I'm like, cool, I'll draw some cards, no big deal. And you just kind of draw. So one thing that can happen in the game is people are just drawing. They feel pretty safe with their hand. They've got some cool special abilities they can play. They still have a diffuse card. Maybe they drew a second diffuse card from the deck. And so we just kind of like drawing and drawing and drawing. The game plays really quickly. It plays in about 10 or 15 minutes. I would say the best player count probably is 3 or 4. It is still fun with 2, and I haven't played it with 5, but I can see with 5 there's like not enough cards in the deck and stuff, because when you play with 4, it's like the deck's a little bit thin, but I still like it with 4. But I can see with 5 the deck would be too thin, and it just might be too chaotic, and you can't really do any sort of, it's a little bit harder to sort of card count and all that kind of stuff. But it is fun, and it's silly. The artwork's amazing. I love the artwork, so that's definitely a draw for me. And you got to give it a shot, because I was initially like a little bit like, whatever. They're just like cashing in on the oatmeal and all this stuff. But there is some thought put into this and some interesting stuff, and it's not super strategic. The back of the box says, just so I can say here, the game is highly strategic, kitty-powered version of Russian roulette. I would say it's a kitty-powered version, fun, of Russian roulette. I wouldn't say it's highly strategic at all, but it's fun. It sure is fun. And like I said, the whole, like, you know, sort of seeding the deck and planting a bomb for somebody else is really cool. I like that idea quite a bit. And like I said, there is decisions to be made. And to me, that's the most important thing. A lot of times you have these sort of take daddy kind of games that seem like there's decisions, but there's always an optimal play no matter what you do. And there's a choice. It's not a huge choice. It's a push your luck one direction or the other kind of choice. Do I waste some cards? You know, getting out of this sort of minor situation? Do I just draw up a bunch of cards and hope I don't get the exploding kitten and give myself some more options? So there is some choice and there's some meaning there. I'm not going to call it highly strategic, but it is fun. All right. So that's the moral of the story. And I would definitely take a look at it. You can get both different versions. You know, if you play with an environment that, you know, where it's not safe for work isn't cool, then, you know, get the other version. And it's a good price point. I think it's like 20 bucks for this. So definitely take a look at it. It's fun. We've been playing it at lunch. It's a blast at lunch, at work and stuff. That's it. Thanks.